Over to you, Dheeraj.
Yes, ma'am.
Dheeraj, one second, I'll just give you the cue. Yeah, please go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. I, Dheeraj Agarwal, on behalf of BRICS Chamber of Commerce and Industry, take utmost pleasure to welcome you all to the webinar of decoding investment opportunities in building budding startup ecosystem, organized by newly created investment vertical of BRICS CCI. The BRICS Chamber of Commerce and Industry is a parent organization that promotes commerce and industry in BRICS nation. The chamber was founded in 2012 as a registered body under Societies Act 1860, impelled with Niti Aayog and recognized by United Nations. 21st century is an era of unprecedented innovations and disruptions, benefiting from the surge of startups armed with transformative products, business models, and capital to take on world. Today, in, Today, India is the third largest startup ecosystem globally by several with more than 15,000 startups established in 2020, up from 5,000 in 2010. Armed with capital, startups have been able to move fast, executing their strategies to grow exponentially through inorganic routes, both vertically and geographically. With an increased number of startups mushrooming in many tier 1 and tier 2 cities of India, there is an increased number of investment opportunities for investors and venture capitalist firms. Although the scenario for investment in India has gradually improved and is developing, there is much need for the common public to understand if the ifs and hows and when and where one should invest. One should start its investment journey. Keeping this in mind, we at BRICS Chamber are extremely delighted to present you a digital seminar on decoding investment opportunities in budding startup ecosystem. Now, I would request Ms. Savannah Najim, Director NF Infrastructure, Infratech, and member governing body BRICS CCI, to deliver the welcome note. Ms. Shabana Nazim is a dynamic entrepreneur working in the business to government space who has created a niche for herself and her organization, Infratech. After 15 years of management level experience in multiple organizations and industries, Ms. Nazim sought to employ her management and leadership skills to conceive and develop NFISPL in 2010. Ms. Nazim is a pioneer in consolidating infrastructure consulting, regional planning, and EPC contracting under an umbrella organization, NFISPL, specializing in qualitative research, precision report, and schedule commitments. She is also a founding member of governing body of BRICS CCI and is head of women vertical at BRICS CCI. Ma'am.
Thank you so much, Dheeraj. Thank you for a very warm welcome. Good afternoon to everyone present. Good afternoon to all the panelists, the chamber members, to the secretariat. And I, on behalf of BRICS CCI, welcome all of you, our esteemed panelists. As Dheeraj mentioned, that the 21st century is an era of unprecedented innovation and benefiting from the surge of startups armed with transformative products, business models, and capital to take on the world. India is a country which has a third largest startup ecosystem. In this session, we aim to bring the various investors and firms under one umbrella, and we shall discuss the do's and don'ts, the various pros and cons that investment opportunities in the startups have primarily. I, on behalf of BRICS Chamber of Commerce and Industry, welcome the group of panelists who are joining us today from across the world to share their opinions and knowledge with us, and also the participants for taking out time from their busy schedules and joining us today. As we move on, I would like to highlight that this is the first event of the newly created investment vertical of our chamber under the able guidance of Mr. Ruhail Ranjan, my fellow governing body member. He is also the MD of Chandrika Power. Mr. Ruhail Ranjan is a budding entrepreneur and is a very dynamic human being. Over to you, Ruhailji. Thank you.
Ruhail sir is not here as of now. He'll join in some time. Dheeraj, you would like to continue?
Yes, ma'am.
So we can perhaps get Bibin Babu to take on from here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am, for such an insightful address and a wonderful start to today's seminar. Without further delay, I would now like to introduce our speakers for the day, Mr. Aditya Arora, CEO Fard Network Private Limited. Mr. Aditya Arora has been recognized as a successful young entrepreneur and achiever on various national and international platforms. He has been invited to speak and deliver guest lectures at 300 plus institutions globally and has won many prestigious awards for his work. Some of them include Parliamentary Award, Duke of Edinburgh International Award, Microsoft Top 15 Changemakers of India, REX Karamveer Chakra by United Nations, National Entrepreneurship Day, Young Entrepreneur of the Year 2017, Young Achiever Award 2020, and Youngest Nominee for Padma Shri 2020. Some of his successful campaigns include Education Tantra, Entrepreneurship Mindset Curriculum, Government of Delhi, Atal Innovation, Niti Aayog, among others. Currently, he is CEO of Fard Networks Private Limited. Fard invests anywhere. Fard invests from 50,000 to 1 million USD across sectors and stages in startups. We welcome you, sir. Mr. Amit Singhal. Mr. Amit Singhal is a qualified chartered accountant with 18 plus years of work experience across varied industries. He has extensive experience in fund administration, accounting, investor reporting, strategic planning, product pricing, and budgeting. He has launched Fluid Ventures, a SEBI-approved VC fund in 2021 to invest in early-stage startups. The focus of the fund is on the direct-to-consumer segment. He is a very active as a seed stage investor in Indian startups ecosystem. Till now, he has invested in a good number of startups like Innership, Infido, Advantage, Club, Checkbook, Neiman Shoes, and many others. He is founder and director of ASR Business Advisories Private Limited. ASR works with multinational companies for outsourcing their finance function to India. He started Startup Buddy in 2015 to support startups in IP protection, managing finances, legal, and compliances. We welcome you, sir. Mr. Sushil Sharma. The CEO and founder of Marwari Catalyst Ventures. Mr. Sharma is the founder and CEO of Marwari Catalyst, which is a leading startup accelerator for early stage ventures in India. He has represented India at IT delegation at Electronics and Computer Software Report Export Promotion Council in more than 5 countries. Mr. Sharma is also a regular speaker on many prestigious forums related to angel investments and incubation across the nation. We welcome you, sir. Mr. Dhyanu Das. Mr. Dhyanu Das is co-founder of Agility Ventures, which is a leading angel investment network and has an ever-growing network of more than 350 plus investors. He is also a general partner at Fluid Fund. They are a startup investment platform. They are a startup investment platform headquartered in New Delhi and with several chapters across India. They offer exposure to the burgeoning startups ecosystem through exposure to VC fund and unique standalone co-investment opportunities across segments. We welcome you, sir. Mr. Avi Mittal, MD and partner at Global Ace Ventures. Mr. Avi Mittal is a serial entrepreneur who started his business journey through Golden Ace Ventures as managing partner. He made his mark by being an integral part of many sports and intellectual properties by being on their C-suits such as Super Fight League, Super Boxing League, Premier Foostel, X1 Racing League, and Swaraj Cup to promote grassroots level sports. He owns a team in various leagues such as Root Football League, Bowl Out Series, and Mumbai Cricket Stars also. Internationally, he is co-owner and board member of the New Jersey Team Stars Football Club. He was also the chairman of All India Mixed Martial Arts Association till January 2021, and he is president of Sport Kickboxing Association of India. His portfolio of investment both companies comprises various ventures in FMCG, renewable energy, insurance, real estate, and pet foods, and intellectual properties as well. He is passionate about social work and has taken up many causes to help society. He is educated from top universities in Switzerland and United Kingdom. We welcome you, sir. Mr. Surge. Mr. Surge is an African business consultant and has worked in various fields ranging from finance, ITC, business development, and various sectors in many countries. In 2020, he created Grassfields Ventures to promote investment in Africa. His daily job is mainly to find business opportunities and investors to put money. He is convinced of the great untapped potential of agriculture, tourism, and digital in Africa. At the same time, he also works with companies, institutions, governments in research studies and consulting missions. We welcome you, sir. Before beginning, I would like to convey to the participants that if they wish to ask any question, they can drop them at the chat box. We will be taking it up later. Secondly, we'll circulate a link towards the end of the session for the certificates. We request everyone to kindly fill it up. With this, I would now request our moderator, Mr. Bipin Babu, co-founder of PESA and InnoWorks, to kindly take over.
Thank you so much, Dheeraj. I would also like to welcome officially everybody, all the participants and our esteemed panelists. So though my colleagues from the startup ecosystem are not very fond of so much of protocols to be followed, but since it's a BRICS event, we had to do that. However, I'll straight away jump. Whenever I see folks from the ecosystem, I'm so excited. I'll straight away jump and get on to questions, a few which I have. So and I will start with Sushil sir. So what is it that which is you seeing the change in the startup ecosystem lately in the last couple of years? What is the major change which you have seen in the ecosystem, be it tier 2 or tier 1 cities, as an investor?
So in last couple of years, what I see is that earlier it was more of a copy paste, or Ola was more of copying Uber, or there quite a good number of startups in India was largely about a developed economy which is coming in India as a copying kind of activity. With the time, what I've seen is that India has emerged more of they have a mindset of a product by themselves first. The couple of products which has also come up eventually, which is with the Indian consumer mindset, which is the second biggest change, which I personally believe has been supporting to Indian ecosystem. The smaller cities in India, like earlier only Bangalore was known for a startup. Now you see that the way Delhi has picked up, and even Bombay and Pune. And for that matter of fact, the people like me who are sitting in Jodhpur, which is tier 3 city, and been actively participating in the ecosystem, I think specifically investments in startup has become a asset class in itself. So I think in totality, the users have increased, the mindset of the people have increased, the asset class has taken a position itself. I think, and that has, what is the result we have seen is because of the mindset which has changed in eventually in last 4-5 years. And I think this is just a beginning. I think the new era, or a very, very strong era, is going to come in the times to go. That's what I would like to say.
Thank you, Sushil sir. Amit sir, your opinion on that?
Sure, Bivin. So let me explain that what changes I have observed over the last couple of years. So the first change which I have observed is the age of the founders. So earlier, when I started investing in startups in 2015, so the average of the startup entrepreneur was somewhere between 32 years to 39 years. So if your age is more than 39 years, you do not get money. In case you are lesser than that, you also do not get money. So that was the average age. And there are certain exceptions as well, like you. But now my recent investment, which I did last week, the founder is 19-year-old and from Bhopal. So what it brings to tier 2 city, 19-year-old founder making a great platform. Let me name it as well. V360 is the name. So you can see in 19 years itself, he pitched me and I was so impressed how he can think of it. Means in 19 years age, I may be in college or just pass out, and he was pitching me like that he has done so much research and he was very clear in the concept. So the change in the entrepreneur side is the age bracket. And now there are certain many founders who are very seasoned, experienced in their corporate culture. Now they are moving to the startup at the age of 50, 55, 60. So at both sides, I can see the changes, and it is better for the startup ecosystem as well. The second change which I've seen is that there is no scarcity of the fund now. Everyone wants to invest in the startups at different level, seed round, idea stage, POC stage. Earlier there was concept, do your POC at your own cost, then we will fund you. So people are now ready to take bet on just an idea which is on pen and paper. Students from 9th class, 10th class, they have learned that how to create an idea, what is the problem statement. They are talking in that language where investors talk like that. So this is very good for the startup ecosystem. And so these are the changes given.
I think I lost you in middle, probably only.
Okay. So, but what I was telling that there is a change from the entrepreneur side as well, and there is lots of money in the ecosystem as well. People are ready to take back very early rather than waiting for the proof of concept. So that is good, very good for the startup ecosystem.
Perfect. All right. I would also, now want to have the opinion of Mr. Ravi Mittal. That what has he observed in Gen Z startups?
So, thanks, Bipin. So, very interestingly, yes, as I actually completely concur with Mr. Amit that, how the age brackets have definitely changed in terms of, entrepreneurs and budding entrepreneurs who, have started out early. But also a very interesting thing that I have noticed of late, and, I have been studying through certain, like going through certain decks and, startups where good partnerships are coming into place. And when I say good partnerships in where, entrepreneurs have now realized the value of getting not just advisory boards, but at the same time partnering with seniors with the experience that they bring on the table to actually make a complete, what I would say, a 360-degree of a company, all right, creating that value of it. Where today a young entrepreneur with his idea goes to an experienced senior, partners together, and then goes out in the market to seek that kind of funding, all right, actually makes the product as well as the idea more backable and more bankable. And at the same time, the other thing is not just only young entrepreneurs. I would say even women entrepreneurs today are competing at equals. Nykaa being one of the biggest cases that we've seen in terms of valuations and everything. And today everyone's talking about unicorns. One thing that I would like to very categorically mention that we all don't need to just target about being a unicorn. Even if we just target of being a regular running horse, we can definitely achieve our milestones. That's what my view on the whole thing would be.
Good perspective. Mr. Serge, would you want to add on to that and add a African perspective to it?
I observer of Indian market. I'm going to start there. Why impress me is mainly the pool of talented developers. This is the first thing. I think this is very essential for startup. Also, the amount of capital raised this last year is just amazing. So this is due to the political stability as well, the liberalization of the economy and privatization as well, which helps this ecosystem to grow, the reputation as well of the company. And Evie mentioned that the way people are able to partner with other companies, etc., create also kind of attractivity for the ecosystem in India. And the side of Africa is still quite different. You have some countries where things are going like India. You can see this improvement in Nigeria, for instance, or in Ghana or South Africa. The size are not the same yet, but the thing is more company has Microsoft, Google, etc. Partner also with some local company there. And this help to create the confidence investor needs. And this desire also for project owner to create something. And potentially Africa could be the next India in few years. There's still some structural problem there. So for me, compare the both parts is not easy. Another thing is the problem of capital in Africa due to the confidence, because the continent is still lacking of many assets, as I mentioned with India. So this is mainly my quick overview about that. The other advantage India has also is that the main competitor from US and China are quite expensive now. Like so the market is not showing the same interest it had before. In India, many people are very young. You have a lot of developers, etc. It's not the case in the other markets. So this is also something very interesting for the Indian ecosystem.
Bibin, you're muted. Bibin, you're muted. Can't hear you.
I think the host muted me. All right. So, why did I ask this question in the beginning itself? Is because a lot of people who are listening to us, actually want to understand that is still the ecosystem as same as probably what 10 years back it was? Is it still that orthodox, or has something changed? And that's the perspective which I wanted to give to the listeners. On that note, I'm not very fond of unicorn, but however, since it has been an year of unicorns, I want to understand that we have so many unicorns, and forget not just unicorns. Overall, the investment numbers have really gone up, in spite of we facing a pandemic, the world facing a pandemic, right? So I would want to understand that. Probably that would give some insights to the listeners that irrespective of how the market was doing, startups have been doing good. Investors have been putting money into startups, and they've been scaling well. And I would request Amit sir if he can start off with that.
Yeah, sure. So as Sushil mentioned in the beginning itself, that there is enough money in the market which is coming up, and as you mentioned, that the more unicorns announcement make new excitement to the startup ecosystem itself. Definitely, we should not follow the unicorn strategy, because ultimately you will have to make a business which should be sustainable and long lasting, rather than thinking that how the valuation of a business will be created. You will have to create a good scalable businesses. But once you see that there are lots of IPO happening after a stage, unicorns tag is there, lots of money is coming into the ecosystem, that excite the most into the startups as well. So from funding side, every investor is looking for a new asset class. They keep checking whether gold can be new opportunity to invest, whether crypto can be another opportunity. Just like that, now people have started understanding about the startup investment as well. Earlier, the issue was that there was no enough content or the education available in the market that how startup ecosystem works. But the people have seen in last couple of years that how the exit happens, because entry in a startup is very easy. Exit is a little tricky thing, that and you keep getting the excitement from your portfolio company, and they keep giving you the exit opportunity as well, but we never understand that what is the right time to exit. So that's how people always think that it is very difficult market to understand. But now, because the investor have seen themselves, either themselves or through their network, that how the exit happens in the startup, they understand the sheer price persona of the startup as well, that how you enter, how you exit. So that's why more and more people are coming there, and there are many network or the community have been built up over the years which are educating a lot to the angel investors. So that's how money is there, and money is always good for the startup ecosystem. The more money will come, more ideas can be taken care of that, and more success can be seen. So unicorn is a very good and buzzword to my knowledge, but IPO is the one which is creating lots of excitement in the startup ecosystem.
Perfect. Great insights. Sushil sir, so you support a lot of startups in the tier 2 cities. I don't know, why do you call Jodhpur a tier 2? I find it equally at par to tier 1. So there has been a lot of change in the mindset altogether. So previously, when you are a tier 2, tier 3 guy, you would want to go to a tier 1 city and get a good job, right? Now it's gone the reverse. So it's like, okay, let's do a startup in tier 2, and let's invite the good talent from tier 1 to tier 2 and work for us, right? So on that note, why do you think there's been also good inflow of investments to tier 2 cities as well?
I think the biggest change is because of the reverse brain drain. and the pandemic. I think these are the two major activities which has, because of the pandemic, there is a lot of reverse brain drain which is happening. Earlier, the brain from the smaller cities used to go to the larger or the bigger cities for a job, for a businesses, whatever, because of the connectivity, because of the reverse brain drain now, and also the adaptability and the acceptance of investors in the smaller cities. And again, see, people like Marwadi Catalyst, the way they have created a small ecosystem within itself, which is self-sufficient, which is very, very important. So you get a infrastructure, you get a culture, you get a money, you get an internet connectivity, and also the peer ones who can support you in the entire activity, because life any which ways in the smaller cities is very, very good. So I think this has been the major reason. We were expecting this to happen 5 years later, but because of the COVID, it has happened immediately. I think that is one of the reasons why you have money, you have culture, you have environment, you have a good living. And then because, we are doing a virtual conference. So the kind of virtual thing, because whether it's a knowledge or a networking, you don't have to travel. And so that has been a very, very blessing for for the startup founders, specifically in the smaller cities. And they save the time, they save the money. And in startups, everybody, I think half of us has done a startup. We know that the startups needs to struggle in the initial days unless you get a bigger checks from a bigger funds. So I think that has been a blessing. And smaller cities, your expenditures are low. If you can take care of the other things, it becomes an opportunity. And that's why now the smaller cities founders are doing good. And I believe that the next big things will start coming from only from the smaller cities. Thank you.
Do you see an IPO coming from a tier 2 city startup?
I think it has already started buzzing up. The only thing is visibility is also something which is going to go up now. And I think definitely, and I completely endorse to what Amit was saying, that, IPO is supposed to be the last in the final game, which is more attractive to startup founder. The only thing is, he being a chartered accountant understands it better. Founders need, where is the money, where is the buzz? So I think, yeah, definitely the smaller cities will also bring in a lot of IPOs. And I think people or the groups, what we've been sharing, the small groups are coming up. They're also quite active, aggressive. And I think also been very, very focused that IPO or maybe the larger acquisition is a larger game. And also a merger and acquisition is also taking active positioning, which I've seen what, was said by Avi, that, merger and acquisition and the founders taking seniors as a mentors is making a very strong role, because that adds to the confidence of the early investors, or maybe pre-series A or series A kind of thing, because there before you getting actual numbers, this culture or the confidence is increasing, and which is very supporting to Indian ecosystem, and large number of profitability or the active participation is coming up any which ways. Last 53 days, 10 unicorns. Bloody, what is this? This is big. This is really good.
That's true. Right. Mr. Avi, your perspective on that, why do you think that last 2 years we did fantastic?
I mean, I wouldn't agree more with Sushilji as well as with Amitji. But there's another new bracket that has come into the market, and that since we're decoding this, I want to definitely bring this up. See, traditional money. Earlier, there was always new money that was floating in the market. All right. But traditional money, let's not just for a second not talk about startups. All right. Let's just also talk about even private equity players, funds over here. Come on, so many of us, I'm sure, get approached on a regular basis now by traditional money. A person who comes in the wealth category of, say, between 1 crore to 10 crores. When people came into this category, people only thought of expansion of their own businesses or thought of making traditional fixed deposits. Today, they approach people like us who have played the games of investing between 20 to 30 startups, saying that keep my money. I don't mind you taking a certain percentage of it, but use my money to build, more wealth for me. So this change in the last 2 years, where there is an influx of more traditional money, and people from that bracket also look at becoming angel investors, is a major change that has hit the market in the last 2 years.
So definitely, that's a fantastic point. I think that also gives a lot of motivation to people who are listening from, who are approached by traditional investors. I think perfect. Sir, you want to add on to that? Am I audible? I mean, that's the common question which people keep asking.
Even I completely agree. Now, I think capital is not an issue. Even in the smaller cities, the people are active to participate and to contribute to the ecosystem in terms of money. And that's a big sign for India. And that's what we largely believe. This is just a beginning. People say this is very fast. This is already a bubble. I say this is just a beginning for the industry in India. And that's what the global market is now supposed to see from India, that if this is just a beginning, how far this will go. This is,
Right.
very exciting for all of us.
So, Amit sir, and that actually brings me to another question which I want to direct to you. So, a lot of this, traditional money investors, come out and offer this startups debt fund, right? So technically, so they deal like orthodox folks, right? And I get this question a lot of times. So, do you recommend startups to go that way? If not, why? And if yes, why?
So basically, all of us know that whenever you are a startup founder, you are building something where the probability of building that particular product is not very high. It may be built or it may not be built. So we always call it as a risky capital. Risky capital for the business, because the end result is uncertain.
Amit, your internet is not good.
Amarji, I think it's better you put off your camera and you can just be more audible. I think then that might help.
I guess we lost him.
Okay, Sujita, you want to just take it up, because I'm sure you had dealt with it.
So according to my opinion, I think this traditional business, or maybe any business which is largely, even some of the NBFCs are also offering a debt in terms of the startup. So it also depends upon the category, but largely we say no to the startup founder, because this is a different culture, and the people who come with a debt mindset is different. But yes, convertible note looks like a good option, where it is, if they are not convinced with the valuation at what they are coming up, if they come with a convertible note, I think that looks as a good option to the startup founders. But yes, it also depends if it's a D2C category, and where we, there's a lot of money which is needed for a stock or something of that nature. I think only in that case, they need to be open for a debt, not otherwise.
Mr. Ravi, do you have a perspective on that?
Yeah, definitely. I think I would, always advise startups against debt funding particularly at seed stages, because it definitely affects the, the valuation of the company in the long run when we look at Series A and further going on. But order financing is something that one can definitely take up, as rightfully said by Sushilji. See, order financing, to give a deadline by an investor, shows that the belief in the product and the growth of the company today, right? But if we only look at a straightaway debt and then go out to big VC funds for further raise, the investor mindset itself starts off at a negative note, as we all have noticed. So that is something that, I am not pro the debt financing, and I never even advocated for any of my investments ever.
Perfect.
So sorry, I lost in between. So even to complete that, I am not in favor at all to take a debt financing at a early stage, because that will definitely create a pressure, and you are taking a loan where the end result is uncertain. Definitely, once you reach at a Series A or pre-Series A level, then you should think to balance out your capital, equity, and the debt, so that you can save more and more equity for you, rather than giving to someone else. But at early stage, at seed round, you should only go for a equity financing, not at all, should not think about the debt financing at all.
Perfect. So, so to all the people who are listening this, and I saw one guy who just texted me a similar question. So if your uncle comes and says that take 50 lakhs from me, give me back 75 lakh rupees, you do your startup, don't take it. Go to angel investors. All right. And so is also the investors who are listening here, a few of them, potential investors, don't offer people debt at the early stages. Right? So, Mr. Serge, on that note, I want to understand a perspective from the African perspective, that are there debt fundings happening, or equity fundings happening? You said there is lack of capital. So how is the overall scenario there? And what do you suggest startups?
The main thing, I'm not always involved in that stage, but the thing I used to recommend to startup is to look for capital according to the strategy of the company. This for me is the key. I'm going to be very short there because, as I said, I'm not often involved in that part of the project. But my advice is to require capital according to your strategy. What is the long-term value? What is the ability of the entrepreneur to bring the company on the top, etc. And according to that, we're gonna see into the market who is willing to follow in that project. It's mainly what I can say in that that stage. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Saj. So I would want to ask this to Mr. Avi. So, what do you think? What are the major emerging sectors in India, or globally around startups? If you are to look up to and say that I'm going to invest in this sector or start up in this sector, what will that be?
Currently, I think we all have sorry. Am I audible? Yeah. Currently, I think we all have learned some new terms, but these terms have actually proven to be very successful businesses. And earlier we used to say it should be traditional healthcare. Now from healthcare, we've reached something called as health tech. Now we've reached something where it was earlier we were saying education as a business. Now edutech is something that is booming, and we've all seen these. So basically, I think the best and the way forward is conventional, traditional businesses leaning towards technology. So entering the tech space, and Bibin, you coming from a tech background would understand this way better of how I have seen you help traditional businesses come into the tech space, or rather, use technology for further expansion. So if this kind of funding or these kind of opportunities come my way, or as an investor, where a certain conventional business or a traditional business is profitable or which is even breaking even, but wants to accept and move into the next era of businesses today, whether it is the metaverse or various ways, I think that is a space that one should very seriously look at in terms of investments currently.
Perfect. Amit sir, I understand that your favorite space is D2C, but
Okay.
do you want to elaborate on what sectors you think are emerging and you are
how
keenly
much you earn daily?
somebody
Sorry?
is saying if we can.
No worries. So apart from direct to consumer brands, my favorite sectors are healthcare, definitely health tech, particularly where the new kind of health technology are emerging. That is the one. Apart from it, fintech is always be a favorite sector for me. And by Web3, NFT, all things are making it more excited, and lots of money are coming in and will come in this particular sector. Apart from it, agri-tech is another sector which excites me a lot. I feel that there is lots of opportunity in agri-tech and people should start focusing on it. And I am agreeing with Avi, the technology needs to be used in the traditional method, and that clearly apply on agri-tech, where you can use the new technology and can make it more scalable, more powerful for the customer and for the entire economy. So I will not take much of the time on this topic. I'm mentioning my three favorite: health tech, fintech, and agri-tech. These are the three sectors which I like the most, apart from D2C. We are into D2C, and that is by default is my favorite sector. And I feel that lots of things are going to be happening direct to consumer brands because of internet penetration specifically and availability of the products at tier 2. So why I like D2C and why I start this fund only focusing in direct to consumer brands, because we feel that in tier 2, tier 3 cities, people want to buy the products which are largely available directly with the manufacturer, rather than the traditional method where lots of inventory stuck in the supply chain itself. So D2C will definitely be booming.
So for that was not me. All right. So for everybody,
that was buzzer for you. That X time is left, maybe 25 minutes or whatever. That was buzzer for you.
So just for everybody's information, so Amit says D2C fund is worth what, 100 crores? Amit sir?
So we want to invest in 15 startups. So we want to create a portfolio of 15 companies. So we are 60 crore rupees fund.
So startups into that space, please feel free to reach out to Amit sir. So she'll say, what's your 3 favorite emerging sectors which you are looking onto?
So till now, we being an accelerator specifically focusing on a specific category, we did 2 cohorts in EdTech, then we did it for D2C and FinTech. Our favorite subject after experience of 3+ years is consumer tech. Whether it's any industry, it's a consumer tech, because India being an emerging market, which is largely the smaller cities activated, I think consumer tech, with whether it's a agri or EdTech, anything which is related to consumer is strong. And yes, I think my suggestion for 2 is, if people who are mature, they should also be very, very open about Web 3.0, which is emerging, which is challenging. And I think everybody has more or less accepted it, but only for an experienced person who know how to go about it, or maybe going with the right set of people. But I think consumer tech and Web 3.0 is, according to me, is the more promising when it comes to Indian markets. Definitely.
Perfect. Though I'm not pitching, I think I already have the 3 investors. Then I can pitch on my next round. All right. So, Mr. Serge, I mean, on an African perspective, what are the emerging sectors there? What kind of startups do you think you would want to support?
Definitely fintech as well, I will say, because the continent doesn't have a lot of infrastructure, medical infrastructure, and due to this pandemic, the situation was very critical, like the lack of place to go, the lack of equipment, etc. This creates also an interest for the healthcare tech care system. So mainly mobile money is the main thing to go now. I will say fintech, because you have many people who are saving money through the mobile phone because they don't trust their own currency, or they don't want the government to control the money they get, etc. So they can save the money through the mobile phone, or trade with bitcoins, etc., where the continent is doing well. So definitely fintech for sure. They don't have a lot of banks. Traditional banks, as we know, like an agency, someone to go to see, the tools of payment like credit card, etc. So the best thing they have, has many people are using the mobile phone every day, and the network is not that so bad. The better opportunity I see currently is to invest in that way. Like fintech represent the highest opportunity of investment currently in Africa. This is my view. And then agriculture as well, I'm gonna add it, because there is a problem to manage the water due to the droughts who are coming every year now. And also in terms of logistics, because many farmers are producing food, but they don't have connection with other people to transport their production from point A to point B. And you have in the middle some trucks who are looking for people to help to support to take care of this production, to bring that to another place. And the most interesting thing in that case is to be able to connect these people, because for the farmer, they don't have enough funds to acquire a car and make this transfer every day or every month. So put them together instead, to create a kind of ecosystem, like a small community where you have a producer, the person who is taking care of the production to bring it to another place. So this is the 3 point I see very interesting to look at in the African market currently. But definitely, yes, fintech for sure, yeah.
Yes, I was on mute. Uh, so on that note, I know I would probably also request the panelists to probably later on connect with each other. Maybe they can be synergies found with your existing portfolios to work in both the countries, and India to Africa and Africa to India, vice versa. Right? Maybe that's something which you can explore. Just a random thought which I got. There's one question which is coming again and again, and I'm just going to throw it to the panel altogether. It is, how can I set up my own startup today while I don't have enough capital, or while I have enough / no capital? I would want anybody can take it up randomly. Sushil sir, if you want to take it up, please do.
So I think,
yeah, Sushil, please go ahead. No, my suggestion is very simple. Apply for the government Succeed program. You will get an opportunity to pitch to the 3 incubators where the mentors like us who listen to the pitch, and if they are convinced, that definitely you will get the funding / grant from the government itself. 6 months back or 8 months back, I may be of the different opinion that there are lots of mentorship available in the incubators, but the funding was a challenge there because there was no support in terms of funding. Grant was still there, but now the government has allowed them to invest basis equity as well. So my only suggestion will be to apply to this program and keep eyeing on various programs by various authorities, and means end result is extremely good.
Perfect.
So, Vipin, I will add on to this question. Is not only related to startups, but also related to the fund, the early stage angel investors. So, in all the cities, whether it's a bigger or a smaller cities, you always have a co-working space or or an incubation center, which is basically the panel between. It's an ecosystem technically altogether. So, when I started as my profession as an investor, I used to go to the co-working space. Used to meet a lot of startup founders, their passion and everything. So I think, Amitji, what he's saying is very true. You can go and apply to a government activity. Seed fund is a good area. You can apply 1, 2, 3, and within, I think 30 days, you will get an answer of yes or no. But let's not be dependent on that. There's a lot of money who is chasing a very few startups, not very few, but yes, startups. If you are passionate, your idea is validated. So because passion also makes a lot of difference, I think everybody will agree that this is a passion of a founder, which is very, very important and which contributes a lot to the journey and to the decision making. And if it's an ideation stage startup, to the fellow whosoever is asking. So I think it's a very good point. If somebody will see you're passionately doing it, just take a seat, 5-seater, maybe 2,000, 5,000 rupees, whatever is a price of a co-working space near to you. You will find people like Vipin, Amitji, me, people going and maybe.
So sorry for the disturbance, just removing those people.
So Vipin, this was the final budget for you.
It was budget for me, Amiji. It's not for him.
It was actually a cheer for Sushil sir's answer.
Yeah, that's the another way to look at it. Yeah.
So what I mean to say is that it is an entire culture which has come up, and I think with the passion, with the product, for the prototype, and not only for that, I think you get a content writer, social media, everything. A lot of insights you get it from the nearest ecosystem. I think that's my suggestion, and obviously you can apply for a government budget, which is also very supportive, and at least for the next 6 months.
Perfect. All right.
So Vipin, I would like to clarify here. I mean, so what I want to intend is not only related to government, but go to the incubator center particularly. So that was one example where I said that you apply for the government portal so that they will help you to connect with the 3 incubators itself. Otherwise, best way is to go to the incubator centers, apply them. They will automatically connect you with the various angel investors, as Sushilji mentioned. So ultimately, the ecosystem is so evolved now. Every city has their own incubators as well. So the best way or the suggestion from my side will be to approach to the incubators.
So the process of the startup is starts from a incubation, acceleration to angel network and funding. I think in totality, the Indian ecosystem has emerged now. So now earlier when we used to start 4 years, 5 years back, there was only either a fund. People actually were confused where to go. They used to apply to a fund which is D2C and they're applying, fintech startup is applying. So I think there was a lot of confusion which has come up better now with the changing in the ecosystem. That is what the 5 years change I see. That ecosystem has emerged a lot. I know there is a lot of scope still now, but still it has improved a lot. And I think that's where if you can plug into the right place, the things will eventually shape in. So earlier, if you're a startup founder, one room, no money, all unstructured. Now it is a reverse way engineering. If you're a startup founder, it's a flaunt value. Angel investors are also flaunting. So I think it's more of a connecting to the right dot at the right stage is more important, and that you can get it with the ecosystem.
It's so fantastic. I so get so positive energies while talking to you folks, and I'm sure the audience is also. Otherwise the first problem was always that we don't have money. How do we start? Right? Perfect.
I would just like to add to that, Bidin. I would just like to add to that for sure. I mean, I at least saw that in a certain startups, and I think, yeah, of course, incubators, going to places where there is this whole, working culture. Now, like, work was one of them, where, there is a lot of, opportunity available for people to come together and like-minded people to, try and explore opportunities. But getting a subject matter expert is also something that one can definitely look at. All right. And as I earlier said, it's not just mentoring, but also, getting people who are like, if your startup is of a certain particular, sector and certain category, first doing your R&D and research on getting a expert who knows this subject, who has either executive experience or an achievement already in this particular sector, connecting with him, all right, will cost you nothing. Today, everyone sits with an open mind. Everybody wants to share their own success story, or everybody, wants to put out their bit of knowledge. So getting somebody like that to partner with you is also a good way to, actually start building your startup.
Makes sense. Perfect. Very interesting. Very interesting. My another question. I'm sorry, Sushil, I'm just coming back to again because the next question which has come to me, is around incubation. So maybe we can, all of us can add on to that, but the first one I would want you to answer. The question is, incubators play a very important role, especially when it comes to technology startups. How do you think investors view these startups as, since they take more time and money to gain their first traction? So do you think, that the investors actually look on to this kind of startups who are getting incubated, taking 3 months, 6 months, 9 months to, come to to get onto the runway? What is your perspective on that?
So as Avi was also saying, and Amitji will also agree that, everybody wants to work with a kind of a matured deal. And I think if you go to a larger or a bigger person in terms of a pocket to invest in you, so I think they need a more mature deals. So incubator, accelerator actually refine your processes. Right. So I think that is very, very important. I largely believe that, because both the terms are different. Incubation is different, acceleration is different. So I think both the processes plays a bigger role. So whoever is asking, let me tell you that you need to understand whether you are an incubation stage or an acceleration stage. They're two different terminologies, let's mix them out. So I think if you're at early premature businesses or maybe no revenue, no traction stage, you should definitely go to the incubator and ask them for a right stage to come in and plug in and to contribute to your journey. And if you're an early revenue, early traction, you want a growth partner before going to a venture capitalist, you can go to the accelerator. So you need to very clearly define the definition of where exactly you want to know. And yes, investors are preferring to work with the incubator accelerators, and that's why it is a journey. It's a supporting tool to each other. And I think with the way the Indian ecosystem has evolved, everybody will work largely with the incubator accelerators closely, and their processes will also improve, because I think the business was not mature. So I think incubator accelerators are also getting matured with the time, because they need to understand their processes. And I think Avi and Amiji both will agree to me, because, everybody was everybody, incubator, accelerator, angel network, and everything was everything. I think that maturity is also coming up with the place. And I largely believe, I have seen it. I have largely in last 1 year, I've seen that, people work closely because they don't have time. So if there is a legal, technology, marketing, branding, there are a lot of issues with any businesses. Startups are pure businesses. You need a helping hand. You need a supporting tool. And I think they prefer. to be a part of the processes and part of, जैसे बोलते हैं ना, LKG, UKG, both are important. So I think you have to go and graduate eventually. And I think that's very important. And that's for a long term. Sometimes startups feel that, at early stage, we can directly go to the investor and raise money. My suggestion is here, if you go with the right processes, it's a long way. It's an IPO. It's a merger and acquisition. It's not only raising a seed money. So I think it's a long way. You need a right partners. You need a right partners, right mindset, and right back office supporting tool who can actually guide you and help you in a right structuring your right deal. I think that's very important and makes you easy, comfortable, and good.
Perfect. So since Amit sir has to, I think, leave shortly, I have one vanilla question which I always ask you and every panel, that what do you look in a startup before investing, and what do you look in the founders?
So do you want me to answer this?
Yes. Before you leave, I wanted to answer this, or else we'll miss out on that.
So how should I answer that? Founder, and founder? Nothing else. So that will be the really honest answer. Means rather than I will repeat the same thing which everyone says, market size or the uniqueness or maybe something. Whenever I look at a startup from the angel perspective, I always believe in the founder, whether he कुछ कर देगा या नहीं कर देगा. That always keep in my mind. So as I mentioned earlier to you as well, Bibin, when we met, there are no startup in my portfolio company who is doing the same thing which they pitched. So they pitch something, they learn from the mistake, they pivot it, then they start doing something else. So, and I honestly like those founders who are not very stick with their original idea. They should keep learning it. No one can be very perfect in the idea. If I will think that will work, and that will work. So you will have to think according to the situations and according to the changes, whatever you have learned. So I always invest in keeping in my mind that how the founders look at it, how he maintain his team, how adaptability is there to change the idea, or whether he will be able to manage in case he will get a growth very faster as compared to what he was expecting. So in case I have a confidence in the founder, I normally invest. Other things, they themselves find out what is the market size and how they will go to the market, etc. So I do not believe in any other slide. My entire focus always be in the founders only.
Perfect. And that's quite visible.
So take an example, just like you mentioned that you will come to us for pitching your Web 3.0. So we will always believe in you. Even if we do not know anything about the crypto, anything about the NFT, we will always see, okay, he's Bibin and he will do something big. So that is the common with every angel investors. People will have to believe in that.
Abhijit, I have one question from you. Same related to founder. You need the founder to be honest, or you want the founder to be fast and strong?
I want to be founder need to be smart. He need to be smart. He need to be understand that, as I mentioned, that management of a team itself is an art. Everyone can't make it. So as I read one report where 40% of startups failed because of co-founder conflict. It means the founders were not smart. They didn't able to get the issues resolved themselves, and they decided not to proceed further and decided to shut down rather than making a solution. So in case founders are smart, they understand the situation better and make the decisions accordingly. So the founder should be smart enough to manage everything. So ultimately, there should be capability of becoming a CEO of a listing company at a later stage, not at the pitching stage right now. But I should believe that yes, he will be able to do that.
Perfect. Mr. Avi, your take on that? What kind of founders, or what do you look on to a start?
So, I mean, to be honest, Vipin, there is, everyone does say that there is a very common answer to this, that we look at a founder's, conviction, we see his, strategy, we see, as rightfully Amitji said, that we look at his market size, all of that. Honestly, from each founder and each startup, it completely varies. There is no traditional, there is no, conventional answer to this. Today, when, for example, if somebody asks me to go ahead and invest, as Mr. said, in Piazza, for example, okay, now knowing the founder, Okay, through not looking at him as my colleague Vipin Babu, but knowing the founder, seeing his flexibility, seeing where I can add value to that founder by, what is the first of all, what is the valuation he's asking, of course. Second thing is, of course, how much of my time is going to go into build, get this off the ground. All right. And at which point are we getting into the venture? All of these things vary from it. So definitely a founder's flexibility is something that we all should definitely consider, because if somebody is very headstrong and not willing to take on the advice and the expertise that we bring to the table as investors, then there's no point in, just working with a founder in that way.
Perfect.
So Avi has given a very right perspective, and I really respect that perspective. And I've seen most of the angel investors follow the same practice where they want to be involved and something like that. But in my journey, what I've learned that I keep two things separate. One is mentorship, one is my money. So I can give you mentorship if you will come, and I will see that whether do you need my help or not. But whenever I invest, I always look whether you will be able to make my money 10x or not. So this is my honest answer to you. I never think whether I will be able to add value to your NFT platform or not. I never bother. I will say, Bipin, you make it. Please make sure that, and that is very honest. I said the same thing to you in the past as well.
Yes.
What will happen to my money? Will you be able to make it big or not? That's from my side.
Bipin, ek check ready hai, pick up kar lo jaldi.
No. I mean, Amit sir has been always supportive, though it is not a big session for me, but I would accept that he's been always supportive since the beginning. Sushil sir, so founders, what kind of time do you want to invest? Apart from that, what do you look into a startup? Especially since you deal with too many of them with the incubation, with at an angel level, at tier 2. What are you looking at?
See, Vipin, when I started my career, first four investments continuously has been a failure, big failure, when they're completely zero. And I think that has given me an idea that, we would like to spend some time. So when I said, Amitji, whether you want a good or a fast startup founder. So I think it is largely like a passion with a vision, which is a contribution to an activity and also a team play. I think that makes the work easier for the investor as well as for you as a startup founder. So I think for me, working, and as I said that, I am a large advocate of incubation acceleration, because that's a 3 month, 6 month journey. You usually don't learn from your angel investors or maybe your fund. You largely learn from people who are a part of your cohorts. So I think incubation acceleration is a 3 months, 6 months activity, which you learn a lot from your peer founders. And that's why we educate. Marwadi Catalyst is a 100 co-founders lab. So what we believe is that there's a lot of learning, a lot of activity, a lot of team play within yourself and outside the ecosystem, which is a combination of an activity which you see. So that's what we do is we write a small check to the startups to understand and to take that money in the risk. And when we spend this 3 months with the founders, and we also invite people like Amitji or people like Amit or maybe anybody who is a part of the activity. So let's spend some time together, because we bet largely on the founder and the vision and the team. So even if startup founders fail, does not matter a lot. I think in my journey, I think 3 of the startups out of 40 portfolio fail. It really does not matter, because we have largely associated with a founder or the team or the vision. So we don't mind writing another check. So I think for me is more of, and how can you see? Everybody said we play on the founder, but how can you see that whether he is good within the team member and within the ecosystem? So I think that is what we see as a vision, as a passion, and together with the how open he is for the learning and how is he learning from the market. Because startups, the best thing is you have to learn very, very fast. You can't wait. See, out of 100 startups, everybody knows only 3 will succeed. Right. So you need to see something from the other startup founder, and you have to observe it and implement it in your business. And that's a process you need to see. And that usually what you see, and you make them associate. And that's how I observe. That's why I keep traveling and meeting other incubator accelerators in the areas, so that we are confident when we write, because we also as an investor would like to enjoy our journey, not to get pressure कि पैसा डाल दिया भाई. मुझे बहुत लोग पूछते हैं भाई पैसा डालने के बाद क्या इन्वेस्टर्स को नींद आ जाती है. तो मुझे लगता है भाई इट्स अ इन्वेस्टर ड्रिवन मार्केट, उनको ही नींद आती है, जो ले लेता है उसको नहीं आती है.
All right, that's a fine perspective. Dhanu sir, I would like to welcome you onto the panel. I think he has joined. I could see.
So looks like I will have to give a patent to him.
Diana sir, can you hear us?
I just joined. Yes. Can you give me 1 more minute? I'm just setting up my computer.
Okay.
Sorry for this.
So Bipin, will I be able to take your leave now?
Definitely, sir. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. I have some other commitments, so I will have to leave. Thank you very much, Bipin. Thank you, BRICS CCI committee, for inviting me to this wonderful discussion, and really enjoyed this. And thank you very much. I'm looking forward to become more integral part of the entire community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Amit sir.
Bipin sir, even Aditya is joining, just got over with his meeting, so he's just joining in 2 minutes.
Perfect.
So both of them got stuck in some unavoidable meetings. I'm very sorry that Vipin, you had to continue with the 3 panelists, but now we have more things to come up.
Yeah.
Sorry for this, really.
No worries. Always.
No worries. Dhanu sir, welcome to the panel. It's good
Thank
to
you.
see you.
Good to see you.
So for the benefit of everybody, I mean, though we already introduced even before you joined, but Dhanu sir is actually popular in the ecosystem for being a mix of kind and shrewd, both investor, right?
That's a good way of putting it.
But what I from my experiences and my conversations with his portfolio startups, he's somebody who handholds startups to actually scale up well. If need be, at the beginning itself, he would ask you to pivot and give you the right direction, and that's something which I really love about him. He would really be upfront. He would tell you that, okay, ये तू गलत कर रहा है भाई, तो ये मत कर, मैं जो बता रहा हूँ वो कर. I'm sorry to do that in Hindi, right? But welcome, Dhanu sir, and I will straight away put a question on to you, which we were already discussing. It's a vanilla question, right? That what are you looking on to startups when you're funding them?
So I look at the first thing I look at the market size. They should be solving a very large market size. That's the first thing I look at. If they are looking at a niche, I am probably not the guy. That's the first thing. Second thing I look at is the founder. That's the one who I need. I don't need anybody else. If there is one, that's okay. If there are 2, that's okay. But if there are more than 3, that's a crowd for sure. And the capability of the founder, 1, in understanding the problem, 2nd, in the way he thought of solving the problem. And like you mentioned, pivoting them early. I think Vipinda mentioned maybe for one particular startup, though I have done it for very large startups as well. One of them is nearing unicorn. Pivoted them in the early stage. So the one startup, what he's talking about, they were solving, they were creating the shirts for men, what I'm wearing. And they were selling okay. They were not selling very well. And they met me last year. They came to me, they discussed with me, and I only told them, look, I don't think I'm your investor. And they said, sir, won't you invest? I said, no, I will not invest for sure. Why will you not invest? I said, the problem you're solving is you're making shirts, but you're selling a technology which is spill proof. So the problem is large, but not the audience you are solving. So you have understood the spill proof technology where you coat the shirt with the material, and whenever you drop something on your shirt, it's get cleaned easily, or you can wipe it off with your hand. You don't need water or anything. But you're solving it for the wrong audience. You're making it for men. Making it for men, it's not the audience. So you got to think about what exactly you want to do, and I would help you in solving the problem then. So they took 1 month, came back to me, they want to do it for I gave them 2 options, one for dry fit and one for babies. I said, babies is the one who drop a lot of things on their clothes and they just wipe it, their hands and everything. They want that technology on their clothes. So if you can put this piece of technology on organic or bamboo clothes for the babies of the age 0 to 5, I am the one to invest in you. We can start it today. So after 1 month, they came back, they'll do it for babies. And now they took 6 months to understand the whole industry. They launched their product from 0 sales in October to 5 lakh in November to 11 lakhs in December and 17 in January, 25 in February. So that's the growth, 55% month on month growth. Probably they will achieve 55% growth in the next maybe another 6 months, and then it will down to 30%. I'm happy with that kind of growth. So that's what I do. And I look at the problem, what they are solving, look at how they are solving it, and invest in them.
And actually, and that's the reason I invested in them too.
Okay.
They've been also,
Thank you.
They've been also meeting me for last 2 years, but I so only after your involvement I was able to invest, and I think those kids are doing good.
They're doing very well.
Perfect. We also have Mr. Sugg. Is he there? Yes. So do you want to put on a African perspective to that question? I mean, again, the same question to you.
Yeah.
Startups and startup founders in Africa.
Yeah. The presentation is very essential. Therefore, the investor should understand very quickly what is the problem you're gonna solve. So this is the key point to start. The second thing is the personality of the founder, like how he behaves, the ambition he has, etc. I'm gonna add as well the vision and the ability to impact the economy. Does it solve a local problem? Does this project aims to go global? These are the main questions I have to consider a project. And to go back quickly in the question you had before about those who want to create a company without capital at the start, I think both are linked anyway, because even if you don't have capital, once you have a solid idea through the hybrid structure like accelerator, incubator, etc., you can easily raise money. They have a network where they can connect people to investor. And this brings me back to this point of what we need to look first. My way is to be focused to the project himself. Like, does it represent something interesting for the market? What can be the impact, the sustainability, and the environment? Does this project is duplicated already, or is existing already, or is easily duplicated, etc. So that's mainly the question. I'm focused on it before to start.
So another question is actually for investors and not for, I mean, when I say for investors, we get a lot of people from our network, come join us and we, make them invest or request them to invest. So, Janu sir, what is the thing which you would want to actually tell people who have, say, capital which they can invest into startups? How do you convince them, and what do you tell them? Why should they invest in startups?
So if they have lots of money, that means they don't have time. So I tell them, look, blindly start investing in startups. Invest in 50 startups. One will multiply by 50 times, so your money will never be killed. And then everything else is lottery for you guys. But that's not the right way of doing it. I think what I tell them is, we take decisions, especially for investments, with the advice of people who never invested. We never should do that. We should invest with our gut feeling. We made money. We are investors. We know how to make money. We know if this is going to work or not. Do not go with FOMO. FOMO is the worst thing to do. But at this stage, FOMO is something which is going on in India. People are investing with FOMO. So I tell them, listen to the founder, understand what he is doing. if you can relate to it and you think that this is what you thought of in your younger days, or what you can think of in your future, or what you think that is a problem or can be big business, invest in them. It's like you put yourself as founders and you ask yourself that if I was the founder, can I make it big? If you can think like that, you should invest, because you're giving a chance to a young self of maybe a young person who can solve it much better than you, who can do it much better than you. So you should invest. So, but I will put it a mix of things where I tell people to start building their portfolio in startups, not FOMO, not understanding, that's okay. If you have a check and you know how to write it, start writing checks with the super angels. If Vipin Babu is writing a check to somebody, you can look at his portfolio and you feel that his portfolio is what I would like to build my portfolio. So start writing a check with Mr. Bipin Babu. Or you feel that no, Mr. Das is my person. He invests in D2C. Bipin Babu invests in technology. I understand D2C. Or if Anupam Mittal is my kind of a person, so start writing checks. And I believe in India and in the world, our industry, especially the angels industry, is still very small. In India, it's super small. I think I can imagine there are not more than 50,000 angels in India, even as of today, for sure. Though it's growing faster, I believe that there will be close to 10 million angels in the next 3 years, 3 to 5 years. But at the moment, it's not a sector which is opened that fast. So I tell them that, listen, start building your portfolio and build it for long term. Don't look at the overnight success in startups. They also take time. Though they make money faster, bigger, multiply it many folds, but still build your portfolio slowly over a period of 7 years. Build at least between 20 and 50 companies. Put at least between 20 lakhs and 2 crores, depending on your pocket, in 7 years. And you've done it, definitely. So that's what my take is on new investors.
That's a really good one. I mean, I'm also going to use this similar one with my friends.
Thank you.
Mr. Avi, and I've seen you asking a lot of your friends to come and invest in startups, right? So how do you convince them?
That's when my friends
And I'll also
actually.
tell you why I'm doing this. Because there are a lot of people, few people attending this session who have the capacity of investing in startups. Few of them are BRICS members, right? And hence doing this the other way.
It's always like, first of all, as Sir rightfully mentioned about FOMO, I'm having FOMO right now, as my friend never gave me the opportunity to invest into the same startup with this baby clothing line. It never came to my desk. So thanks, Bibin, for that. I'll get you later for that. But getting back to, seeing on why do I always, I always try and bring together my network of people to, invest with me in a certain startup, is only because of purely of it's not about the value of money that they bring to the table. It's the value of knowledge that they bring to the table. If I feel there's only certain amount of, experience or certain amount of knowledge I can bring to that startup. But if I have in my network an XYZ person who might be a traditional investor or might not be, but I know has got the means for it and is good on that subject, I would definitely ask them to come on board with me, so that I know that that startup can be a success story. There are so many times where, and that's worked mutually in this whole network as well. Even for that matter, in the chamber as well today, amongst all of us, we do so much business, together, is because we all bring a certain value to the table, right? With our knowledge. So that is the reason where I think it is like, one should not just be like, okay, if I am getting 20% equity of this startup and I can fund it, why do I need another investor to piggyback on me, or why do I need somebody else to, come on board? I think that's a wrong approach. The right approach is that I'm happy to share the, cake. At the same time, make it a much more sweeter cake that everybody, enjoys the, taste of it.
Very interesting. Sushil sir.
I wanted to contribute here this question, right? So first is, there's a good news for both from the startup perspective. Dhyanu didn't invested in a clothing brand, which is for the elderly male one. I did 2 years back. That's doing a 2 crore rupees per month revenue. So the best good thing is that, there is a market. There are different set of investors. Different set of investors have different mindset. So one thing is that, you have to chase the right set of people who can write a check, whether it's for a babies or for the similar product for the manwear, only for the manwears, nanotechnology textile. We did it. It is going successful and reached a good value also. That is one. Second, coming to the point when what we convince to invest in startup as an asset class is very exciting. I say that other asset class just give you money. This is the only asset class which gives you a network, which gives you a knowledge, which gives you a branding, and which gives you a motivation to pivot your business into different activities. So I think this is a very, very different asset class. This is a very, very motivating activity to be in. See, if Vipin wants to do 2 different things and he don't have time because he can only focus on one, so you can always become a part of it. That's one. Out of 5 or 7 startups, if any of the startups will grow up larger, it is not only the startup, it is also your network which has increased. And luckily, you invest in share, you invest in an equity market. You don't know, boss, that why market has increased, because there are people who are managing the things. But in startup industry, the best part, specifically at the stage where early stage investors come in, you actually know why the startup has gone, whether it's because of the policy or a strategy or a particular investor or a market trend or whatever. So I think this is so fantastic. Actually, we enjoy both sides, investor as well as with the founder. And you don't know that after 5 years, your network becomes so strong. You touch anything, it will increase. So I think it is a very, very different asset class. This is something which is very, very unique, something which you can enjoy a lot, not only the money, but also the journey. I think that's what we convince. And I think we say that people need to enjoy. And as I said that I say consumer market, India is a big consumer. You produce anything and come with the right approach in the market, it will sell, boss. Thank you. That's what my contribution and my approach towards the 2 aspects.
The energy of the investors in convincing other investors is so captivating. On that
so we have to test Aditya.
Yeah, exactly. So we have Aditya also. Aditya, welcome to the panel.
Yeah, hi everyone. Hi Bibin. Hello everyone as well. Lots of friends in the panel. Hi.
So this question actually suits you much better, by the way. So with FAR investments, you guys are doing a good job, right? And I will straight away want to throw the question to you. That how do you do it?
Well, I guess it's a growing ecosystem for everyone, right? And we've just begun investing and participating in this ecosystem at the right time. A lot of founders, of course, are coming up, solving new exciting problems. And the thing on the investor side, if you look at, investors are growing like anything. Close to about 1,200 odd investors invested for the first time last year, right? So, and that number, if you look at from 2010 or 12, that was increasing so steadily, right? So, the activity on the either side of the ground is intense, right? And suddenly, of course, with more startups getting more mainstream media attention as well, and a lot of course, private market stories going public. That I think is another exciting intervention that's happening. Right? So, see, it's of course we as investors, I think we've been here. All of us have been here for a long time. When finding good quality startups was a challenge, right? But now, as I see, the challenge is to get into good quality companies, right? And also, of course, add that bit of strategic value, because so much is evolving across industries as well. So many new patterns are coming up. So many new verticals are opening up, which we hadn't thought about that. Imagine talking about metaverse 4 years back, and we would not even know what the word is. But now, of course, that word has grown in significance and meaning. So yeah, I think it's good that's happening. But again, I think agree with one point of Dhanu sir as well. It's a lot of FOMO as well that's happening. So as an investor, I think one of the main challenges is not just to speed up investing activities, but to also look at companies with a more nuanced lens of whether they could actually go ahead and create value. So that is, I think, the next challenge that's happening. It's not just a valuation challenge, because in that challenge, I think so many are running in and so many have drowned, and of course, so many are making sense as well without any justification. But the actual challenge in this ecosystem for any one of us is to find where startups can create value and how that value is differentiated from the existing proposition that's already created. Yeah.
Okay, thanks for that, Aditya. No, I just want to come up with another question which people have been asking me, that all these superbly funded startups are not profitable. I mean, a part of that is truth. A part of that is truth, and part of it is not. How do you guys as investors look onto that? I mean, people raising money and not making money, like startups raising money and not making money. How do you look at that perspective? Like, are you supporting that, or do you think there's something going wrong somewhere? Janus, you want to take it up? I think we had this conversation sometime back when we met.
Sure. I mean, that's where the FOMO comes in. And just to give you an example, many companies are profitable who raised a lot of money, like Nykaa. Nykaa is profitable for sure. And many startups who never raised money are super profitable. Zerodha is one of them. 1,000 crore, which is $150 million profit last year. So what I would say is, raising money is good, but raising money from FOMO investors is worst thing to do. Second thing, the valuations of any company and every company should not come from that FOMO. Founders are super intelligent and founders are super calibered. They can raise money, they should raise money, but they should only raise money when it's required and with the absolute understanding of how they're going to use the money. On the other hand, I tell the founders, take money when it's available. Do not go out when you need it the most. Take money when it's available. So they should be actually foresighting between 12 and 18 months always. When it comes to profitability of these super big startups, personally believe this started with Amazon, Google of the world, where for 2 years, Google were not aware how they're going to make money. And they actually paid a lot of money to the guy who told them how to make money. And our Indian only took the Google team to there. In India as well, now the FOMO is creating this thing in investors to put in more money into these startups, which don't even have any clue how they're going to make money or how they're going to be profitable. Whereas on the other hand, the simple maths is, you should raise money for the growth and not for the sales. Online, most of the companies don't understand the loyalty is only toward the affordability or the cost of the goods. If you are selling an Apple phone for 90,000 rupees and Amazon is selling for 89,000, I'm going to buy it for Amazon. I'm not interested in Flipkart. And if Flipkart is selling for 87,000, I'm going to buy it for Flipkart, not from Amazon or from Tata. There is nothing called brand loyalty on online businesses. So to sell your business and you're selling cheap, losing money in selling to the people will not make any sense at all. You should raise money or you should take money or the investor should pay money. Okay, you are in Delhi, you are doing $2 million business. Now you need to go to Bombay and you need about $1 million to set up your Bombay. Okay, I'll give you $1 million and your sales can become $4 million. So to expedite your growth and to analyze, the minute you stop raising money, you should be profitable. To analyze that the profitability will be there once you stop raising money. That should be seen by the founders and the investors. So I always look at that angle when I invest in a startup. I rarely look at startups where they will be keep on burning for 7-8 years and then they will see how we will make money. So I will not invest in them. That's not a good thing to do. On top of it, the valuations. Nykaa raised their last round before IPO at $1.2 billion. And they did an IPO at what? $15 billion? Look at what it is now, $7.5 billion. So it's almost half. Nykaa is a profitable company. Same with Paytm. They raised at a X valuation. Because they raised at a X valuation, they cannot go below that. So they have to raise at a Y valuation. And just before the IPO, they saw the FOMO in the IPO market. They increased the IPO valuation. So that will eventually come down. So valuations, investments should go hand in hand, and that should be analyzed by the investors, not the founder. Founder will always ask for more. And founders should always analyze the minute they not get the funding, they should be profitable and at least breaking even, not dying the business. That's why, many businesses are dying even after raising 10 million. I read that Lido is shutting down operation after raising 10 million 5 months back because the profitability and the fundraising were not in sync at all. So I am not in favor of, without analyzing investing. So that's what I would say. I hope able to answer.
Yes, perfectly answered, sir. Sushil sir, you deal with a lot of early stage startups. Does this apply in your case? How do you see it? Because early stage, you don't get profits any which way is day one.
So, okay. So my version of this Nykaa or Paytm is that, the early stage journey of a startup is more passion, learning, planning, and everything. And late stage startup at the time of IPO, it is all business. Right time to enter, right time to exit. So I think the both. So as we say that every stage you need to pivot. So my opinion is that when you associate yourself with the early stage, you see whether what profitable, what's not. At later stage, it is more of a business. Entering right time, you're purchasing the same shares at a low value, selling at the high, and again selling at when there's a low. So I think it's all a journey process. So I think at that, and everybody, see any investor who writes any check, whether he writes in on passion or maybe at a positioning. So FOMO, yeah, definitely it is there. Even in a FOMO, people good for a smart person. Good time is a good time. Bad time is a bad time. When it's a bad time, he's on the buying side of it, and when it's a market is a FOMO, he's at the selling time. So I think for the early stage, it is more like passion, your people, your network, or your industry, or you're always a passion. So most of the angel investors invest in a couple of startups which they always wanted to do it, right? So that's a different stage. But the stage where you specifically asked pre-IPO or just IPO, or maybe the startup which is over and above Series A and all, I think that's all our calculation, whether the founder can go for the next round or not. That's a simple answer to the simple opinion of my side of it. If market, the founder will raise money. So I think you are concerned about not the profitability, whether the founder can go in the right hands to get it merged or not, whether he can give you an exit.
Ravi, your perspective on that?
To be honest, because of so much money being available right now currently and openly, I feel that in a certain space where founders have lost their, sight towards their vision, the first thing that, instead of towards their product and towards their idea, they rather want to go out and raise money and be on Economic Times that I raised money from Mr. Dhanu, I raised money from Vipin Babu, I raised money from Sushil sir. That has become the trend right now. They don't now see that, do they really need that money? Do they I'm sorry, Dhanu sir, that, I'm differing from your point where you say that if there is money available, take it. But the right money should be is something that a founder should take it. There is the strategic money that is coming into him, not just because it is available. Correct me if I'm wrong over here. But the point being is that as a founder, I feel that this kind of trend that the market is currently set needs to bring about a change where people should not just get access to the money based on it being available. There should be value being added to that money. And there, as rightfully said, there are so many startups where we have failed, I have failed in so many startups where I have invested and backed the founder in terms, but how much cash flow can you burn towards it? At one point, you need to take a step back and tell the founder that, where does the profitability kick in? You give me another, okay, your plan A failed. Is there a plan B in place? A plan B is necessary for every founder to have for his investors. This is, I think, something that needs to be brought into these markets currently.
And that's what, that is there. And I think all the investors who write a check to the startup founder, they are concerned about their money. They are never concerned about the profitability loss. It's an investor's market. They want, yaar, mera paisa double ho jana chahiye, triple, you're making money, don't make money, does not matter. Give me an option of an exit or maybe raise the next round of money. I think that's the truth of the industry.
Fair enough, sir, but also that matters when it comes to the reputation of us as investors. No, if I backed a certain horse and it did not turn into a unicorn, it turned into a donkey, then sir, everyone will say that we backed donkeys. Nobody's going to say that we backed a unicorn or a horse. When I backed him, he was a horse, not a donkey.
You expect the startup to grow, whatever it comes, yeah.
No, I think I back Avi on this. You build it over a period of time, not overnight. So I think I would like to. That's what I said. There are two prospects. Investor, I think आपने शायद वो पहला वाला part miss कर दिया. I said investor should not invest in FOMO, should not invest in just पैसा हो रहा है तो दे दो. But a founder must take money when it's available. I'm again saying that every round have different kind of investors. I never invested in round C, Series C. I have gone on to Series B, pre-Series B, not even Series B. I'm going on to Series B now, but I never invested in Series C. So founder knows. So when I'm ready to give money, that means I have done my homework. So both need to be literate while taking money and while leaving money or giving money. So I think that's my aspect. And definitely you should only back good startups. They should not fail. That's your matrix. So probably I'm lucky that way. I have the other way around. 10% failure assured instead of touch wood. God has been very kind.
I think Aditya has dropped out. I had the same question to Aditya. Is Aditya there?
I think he just got disconnected. He was here.
So I think, Janu, I endorse to your thing, and all the ecosystem players who are sitting right now all are lucky because this is the best time ever for Indian ecosystem, even for the global people who are keen. I think it's a right time for them to participate in India because India is growing. It's just a beginning of the era, and I think the market has matured, and there's a lot of collaborations and a lot of entire ecosystem has taken a right positioning. So I think it's a time where all the global partners are looking in India to be a part of it by some or the other way around. So I think we all are lucky to be part and supportive to each other. I think that's what is the good part.
So 100%, Shishilji. I think it's the right time for us to right now accelerate for sure towards not just our investments and explore further opportunities. But when I started out with like a very little means, but I still wanted to make that something 8 years ago. That time when I was backing startups, people, the word startup that time was like, what are you saying? Like, but okay, coming across our my network and my backing friends or even backing people that I knew that over a period of time can achieve it, but still also failed only because they didn't have what is available today. If those same startups, if I get to back again in today's day and age, I will accelerate them and I would make a unicorn for sure. But such is as we say, the cycle of the world. So yeah, definitely, sir, I agree with you on that this is our market and we should all come together and see how well we can work on further on startups as well as getting into mutual ideas. Bipin?
Of course, yes. So on that note, since I am right now in Dubai, and my question next comes from there. That as investors, do you recommend startups to get overseas money or overseas investors' money, especially in startups which I invested? That's also coming from my first-hand experience because both my companies have recently raised money, and both have raised majorly from Dubai, or rather UAE. So do you recommend, and are there any pitfalls to that? Is there something which you recommend startups to keep a close watch that should you take money, should you not? So Dhanra sir, you want to start?
Sure. I'm also in Dubai, by the way. Let's catch up. So I am here for if you see, you go back to HDFC Bank history, they raised their first billion from UAE, 1999. If you go back to ICICI Bank, they raised their huge monies from abroad. So it's not today. I mean, look at 1982-83 episode of Reliance, when to save Reliance, every penny came from Mauritius. Though maybe I've routed through India, but Mauritius. And look at the big companies. It's not about money coming from abroad. It's about the appetite of the investors. And I believe, and the investors thinking on growing their money. Like Sushil said that investor को अपने पैसे grow करने से मतलब होता है. Definitely, investor thinks on that. He should. That is what it should be. India is giving a chance. India is the next manufacturing hub of the world. You can call it back factory for the world. India is the next look at me thing for the world. India is producing the in number 3 in producing unicorns in the world. So India is looked upon, so the money will follow the growth. So people abroad will want to come to India, would like to come to India. Now coming to the startups, whether they take it or not. So there are two kinds of things. If they are thinking of taking money, so it should not matter to them, unless until I'm saying that you should not take money, like Tata's rejected to give their cars to Pakistan. I'm not saying that there should be audience here, but Tata's rejected that because they don't want to give, because there was going to army, and he said the army, if ever happens, then it will be against India. So we should be very clear in what kind of money we should take. The money which is smart money, which is good money, and which is from the accredited investors or funds, instead of just going out and taking money from anybody from abroad. So they should take money from abroad. I'm here for that. A lot of investors, we have almost close to 400 investors from Dubai investing into startups. And we are looking at around 2,000 investors in the next 12 months. So they should take money from abroad if they are getting it. And to explore the other countries' money, also give them an opportunity to launch themselves in that country, because the investors who are investing will give them a free hand, as well as will give them hand holding to launch their product or services in their native country or in the countries they are operating in. So definitely they should take,
That's an
if it's available.
Correct. That's an absolute correct point. Sushil, you want to add on to that?
Yeah, again, my question again says with the same activity, at what stage you are and what kind of money we are talking about. If yes, it's 5 lakh, 10 lakh, 20 lakh rupees, I say no to it. I think because there's a lot of legal hassles, a lot of things, a lot of activities are there. But yes, if it's something like $50K, $100,000 and above, so I think that definitely I would like, that's my suggestion, because when it's a smaller.
Ну, я, соответственно, да. То есть нет, а хорошо у меня на занятии было.
Somebody should mute. Sushil sir, don't worry. We have cracked the problem. $2,000 भी आप कर सकते हो transfer. So कोई hassle नहीं है. I'll help you out in that.
Yeah, it's now easier.
As I said, this is a suggestion because we have been backed up by a lot of chartered accountants and in the core team. So it depends also on the capacity of your team. Because government hassle, say every startup have their own plus and minuses. My suggestion is, if there's a small money is already available in India, you don't have to go abroad, right? Don't have to use your resources, even if there is a small money. That's what is the opinion. So it's a larger money. Definitely, it's a global partner coming with a global mindset and everything. So I think that's the reason. No technical legal hassle, Dhyanu. I think that I know, because that's not a challenge. You can take any small money, but I think in India a lot of small monies, easy money is available at an early stage. So the idea is that you can focus more when you are raising $500,000, 1 million, 5 million, 10, 20, 30. I think that's definitely for that area. You should always be open. Because from a global investor you get a global insights also, which is very, very important. So that's what is my opinion.
Perfect. Mr. Ravi, you want to add on to that?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I would very strongly suggest for founders and entrepreneurs to take international money, because as we rightfully say, those investors sitting over there. Today, India Inc., the brand is booming and how. So everybody wants a piece of it. But the deal that today an Avi Mittal will offer sitting here in Bombay, comparatively to a deal an Avi Mittal who's based out of Dubai, will be way more beneficial for for an entrepreneur. What valuation he's raising at today. I understand this market better than my international investor, right? I today over here know that what value I should get at what stage, at what equity, at what valuation. That guy just for the piece of this cake will give a bet at a lower value, at a lower equity, will give a higher valuation to this investor, to this entrepreneur. So I think international money is definitely a go ahead, but over here the table should also turn in both ways. Is my advice, where the entrepreneur should do his due diligence of where this money is coming from. There has been instances where we all have read about where when money gets traced back, all right, the seed of where this money actually grew from sometimes can also backfire on you. So in that, I would recommend to entrepreneurs that definitely do your due diligence properly. Spend that extra bit on the legality. It's fine that you're anyway saving over here directly, where you're getting a better valuation than what I would offer you sitting over here in India. So spend that extra bit and take in that money for sure.
Perfect. Mr. Serge, you want to add on to that from an African perspective?
Yeah, definitely. Actually, this is a good point for the market in Africa due to the problem of capital. So, for sure, international money, to use this expression from Avi, is very important for this market. The other important thing, of course, is to look at the origin of the money. And you can have also some reserve about if it's strategic business or the profile of the investor, because in some countries you have problem with security, terrorism, this kind of stuff. And with internet now, you have many issues coming from that field that represent a threat for some government. So you have also to think about this kind of thing. But international money, of course, yes. The other thing is the profile of the foreign investor add also a value, because if it's well-known investors, this bring also an additional value to the company, because it will be more known. People will have more interest for this company just because that person who is known over the world put the money in that company. So definitely, yes, international money for sure. And to overcome the lack of capital in Africa, I will recommend it 100%, yes.
Perfect. So, as we head towards the closing of the session, fellow panelists, I would want, all of you to give your closing remarks. Probably it can be a mix of, your opinion about the ecosystem today, and what are you looking forward to probably in the remaining year, 2022. We can start with Sushil sir and move on.
So first of all, thank you so much for inviting. And I think I largely would like to say that, Indian ecosystem has emerged, and you just have to get in touch with the right set of people. It's a collaborative economy now for investors. There are a lot of good names who are already backing up, a lot of good people who not only write a check, but also guide them. People who are aggressive by nature, also understands the market well. So I think it's a time to actively participate and enjoy this journey together. That's what is our opinion. And I think all industries are good. India is being an emerging market from all angles. So for a startup specifically, it's, go and meet as many as people possible, because, you'll find your set of people you'll get gel with. And I think good, and best of luck for the entire people. And global market is, so I think as this is a global platform, I think India, I think we all would like to welcome to collaborate and to do together. Thank you.
Thank you, Sushil sir. Danu sir, you want to take it up next?
Sure. So I think, everyone should make a 5% of their net worth into startups. Everybody should invest 5%. If you are worth whatever, doesn't matter. You can start investing by $100,000, 100,000 rupees to $100,000. And you should start. That's one. This is the right time at the right place for India. One, Africa is also growing very well. So I will go with Mr. Serge that Africa is like, when America is growing, Europe is also growing. So Africa, if I call India as America, definitely Africa is Europe. So you should start investing in startups immediately, as soon as possible, and build your portfolio over 7 years. That's one advice to the investors. Second thing, India, this decade is for India. So don't look at short term, look at long term. Invest in future industries, future products. So India is leading the world in blockchain. India is leading the world in blockchain technologies and in blockchain cryptos or whatever you call it. We are leading. We are actually controlling the entire market, no matter what, apart from few exchanges in America. But if you overallly see, we are leading the technology, and that's like the technology to look upon in the world. India is also leading the manufacturing post-COVID. China was looked at the factory. I was very against putting up your factory in India. But now I would say everybody should look at the manufacturing as an industry, and India is doing that. So next decade, not just this year, I'm sure we will be touching somewhere around 60 unicorns this year for sure. So you only have to touch one. You only have to invest in one. You invest in one unicorn, you're sorted for sure. Even if you have invested 5 lakhs at an early stage. So take your chances, start investing in startups in India, and India is opening doors, and India is making a lot of networks, so you can easily reach out to many networks in India. And for startups, there is no better time to start. This is the best time. If not yesterday, today. If not today, maximum tomorrow. Don't delay further. You delay it for 1 year, you delay it for 10 years. You delay it for 1 month, you delayed it for 3 years. Don't delay it. If you want to start, you can take a chance, take it slow, but start today as if you started yesterday. Thank you.
Thank you, Dhananjay. Mr. Ravi, you want to give your closing remarks?
Yeah. First of all, I would like to thank the chamber, and I would like to thank everyone for giving me this opportunity here to speak, and the esteemed panelists to be part of this. My remark to investors would be, let's all take it on ourselves and take an oath of sorts, where this is, as rightfully said, this is the time. One startup, 1 quarter. That's a minimum request that I would put forward to investors, that this is the time. Back your country. We can definitely make this the whole ecosystem that we have an environment for the generations to come globally. India will be the center point and can be the mega force that we are. We can definitely reach there. For startups, this is your time. Okay, there is the environment available for you all to grow, for you all to nourish, for you all to reach the stages where, again, I mentioned this, just don't target to be only a unicorn. Even being a good running horse or winning horse is perfectly fine. So find that balance and move forward. I wish everyone all the very best.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ravi. Mr. Serge, your closing remarks.
Yeah, thank you very much for this opportunity. What I'm going to say is that you can't even think anymore economy without digital transformation, without tech ecosystem. And this is what is happening now and is the future. And the market is still growing. The key advantage India has in that topic is the crowd he has, like talented people, a pool of good guy with very great skill to address this kind of issue. And the other asset is, I would say, the reputation of, in general. You can see even in US, all this CEO, etc. So there is some value for Indian ecosystem. and Indian tech guys as well. And this will help India a lot. Someone mentioned that India is the next big thing globally about ecosystem startup, and I do believe that is right. It's just a matter of time. As I said at the start, China and the US, they're still slowing down, they are shrinking. And yeah, the time of China is ending, and India is living a very exciting time. And this is something we should focus on it, yeah, seriously.
Thank you, Mr. Serge. So on that note, I thoroughly enjoyed the session. Dhyanu sir and Aditya joined a little late, but it was a fabulous session interacting with all of you, Sushil sir, Dhyanu sir, Avi, and not just 60 startups, Dhyanu sir. I really wish that we have 600,
Unicorns,
which come with time, and we become not just the manufacturing hub, we also become the employment hub.
Absolutely.
Employment is the key to our growth for sure.
Absolutely.
And I also wish that the panel here, including me, are part of those unicorns.
Share with friends, Mr. Babu. Do share with friends.
I'll just add on one more thing for India. I'm really thank Mr. Serge for saying that we are leading the growth. So, India is known for skipping one generation every time. So we skip one generation. You look at mobile technology, we skipped one generation. So 80s and straight away to, people are trying WLL, we are trying 4G and 5G. So we skip one generation. Even in startups, we have skipped one generation completely. So we started in 2010. US started in 1970s. We skipped one generation. Now we are number 3 in the world. So we skipped generations, but now it's the time we lead. So I think India is leading, and in many ways, we will lead in EVs as well. I think India, one of my startups is looking at, becoming the, and for employment is looking at becoming the EV engineer supplier for the world. So he wants to make EV engineers for the world. That's the kind of vision we are seeing in founders in India. Huge, huge. I mean, so that's what it is. Thank you.
Interesting. Thank you. And I'm being honest, I love this energy, from this panel. So captivating, right? It makes people think to actually go out and support dreams and entrepreneurs. Right? Thank you so much for that. On that note, I would also now request Mr. Ruhel Ranjan to give the closing remarks on behalf of the chamber.
Thank you, Vivin. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes, Ruhelji, we can.
Yeah, thank you. I would like to start with thanking Vivin for conducting such a wonderful session on such an interesting topic. And then I would like to thank everyone present here. And it is my privilege to propose the vote of thanks on behalf of our esteemed chamber. I, on behalf of BRICS CCI and the entire team, wish to extend a very hearty vote of thanks to all our speakers and moderators for taking out their valuable time from their busy schedules and joining us today to grace their opinions and knowledge with us. Today, getting and making investments in such unprecedented times is much of a havoc. At the same time, we also realize the role of investments in networking in driving growth and stability of an economy, as well as businesses across all countries, be it developed or developing. This digital seminar was aimed to increase awareness around investments, and in future, we will continue to organize more of such events to achieve our objectives. As we move ahead, we can only hope that the startup economy of India and BRICS countries and other similar countries gets all the acceleration and support required from the massive community of budding investors. I would also like to take this opportunity to place on record our hearty thanks to the entire organizing team who helped in making this event such a success. Special thanks to the vertical committee of this investment vertical for their support for today's insightful session. We thank you for your guidance and continuous support. I would also like to thank all delegates who were a part of today's insightful session. We look forward to hosting you all in our future events also. And lastly, but most importantly, special thanks to BRICS TV for being our official media partner. Thank you, everyone.
I would request everyone to switch on their cameras for a group screenshot. Thank you. Just 1 second. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.